We've already reviewed the 65-inch LG C5, but the smaller 42 and 48-inch screen sizes do feature slightly different panels. So how does that affect the performance? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Phil Hinton, and for over 20 years I've been lucky enough to test, calibrate and review hundreds of TVs. I'm also a fully qualified and trained ISF, THX and PVA calibrator. In this video we're going to look at the 42-inch LG C5 OLED TV. You can read the full in-depth review at AV Forums, where we deep dive into the measurements and graphs in a lot more detail, and you'll always be able to find the latest TV reviews first on AV Forums. Our YouTube videos follow shortly after that. We also have one of the largest AV and hi-fi communities on the web, and here you'll find owners threads from members who actually own this TV in question, and where you can ask them questions and get real-world feedback. If you enjoy our reviews and the community at AV Forums, then please feel free to spread the word, like the video, and of course subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. It really does help us with you getting behind our videos, with you liking them, and also subscribing to the channel. The main difference between the 42 and 48-inch screen sizes and those of 55 inches and above in the C5 lineup is a slight reduction in peak brightness for the smaller screen sizes due to pixel pitch and density of those pixels. This equates in our measurements to about 20% less brightness, but in other ways the 42-inch C5 can beat its bigger brothers. This size of TV is ideal as a gaming TV for console gaming, with excellent support for many of the gaming features, including decent HDR performance for HDR10 and of course Dolby Vision gaming at 120Hz. The 42-inch C5 is equipped with 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 48GB per second connections, with support for HDR at 4K 144Hz, 4K 120Hz including Dolby Vision HDR. We also have NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync Premium, VRR support, as well as a game optimizer and dashboard, and we measured the input lag at an incredibly low 9.1 milliseconds with 4K 60 and 4.7 milliseconds with 120Hz signal. In terms of HDR, the 42C5 features HDR10, HLG, Dolby Vision and Dolby Vision IQ, but it doesn't have HDR10 Plus support, and while it does support Dolby Atmos, it also does not support DTS sound. Filmmaker mode now supports Dolby Vision and includes an ambient light sensor. This allows for optimal viewing for both SDR and HDR content in various lighting conditions by adjusting the picture quality to closely match the creator's intent, but also match the image to your room brightness. This will help many viewers in brighter living rooms get the very best out of the image quality as it adjusts to the lighting conditions in a way that doesn't overly compromise the creator's intent of that content. With SDR content out of the box, grayscale results in Filmmaker mode are good with no obvious issues seen. The Rec 709 HD colour gamut is also good. The C5 remains really accurate out of the box. We used Calman AutoCal to calibrate the 42C5 and, as expected, our results are reference level with superb grayscale tracking and incredibly low delta errors averaging 0.5. Rec 709 HD colour gamut is also reference level in terms of results. For our full HDR analysis of the 42-inch, you can head over to AV Forums and read the full in-depth review, which will cover areas such as colour volume, and you'll be able to deep dive into those graphs in a little bit more detail. With HDR content, the 42-inch C5 measures in at 729 nits at 1%, 2% at 737 nits, 5% 767 nits, and on the industry standard 10% window, it again measures 767 nits. Full screen 100% white is 138 on this 42-inch version, which does use a slightly different panel to the 55-inch and above screen sizes, and the result is approximately 20% reduction in peak brightness in comparison to the larger screen versions. The results for the 2025 C5 are also that little bit higher than last year's 42-inch C4, but nothing significant. The LG also has excellent tone mapping for the ST2084 PQ EOTF standard. It follows with 1000 nit mastering standard until it hits its maximum peak brightness, at which point the TV will hard clip. The C5 employs a slightly altered tone mapping strategy with content that is above 1000 nits, such as 4000 nit mastering data. This approach features a more gradual roll-off, which aims to retain both peak detail and the scene's APL or average picture level. Wide colour gamut tracking to DCI-P3 is excellent with no visible errors seen at any of the saturation points. We measured BT 2020 coverage at 73% XY and 76% UV, with P3 coming in at 97% XY and 99% UV. Measurements taken with a Jetty Spectraval 1511 high-res Spectro show that the spectral power distribution from the LG 42-inch C5 highlights that the set uses the latest iteration of the 42-inch WRGB OLED EVO panel. Looking at screen uniformity first and a 5% brightness pattern, I noticed the usual faint vertical lines that are seen with all WRGB OLED panels. These were faint enough not to be seen in dark content scenes when viewed in a dark room. This may vary though from panel to panel, but on this sample it was relatively clean. The screen uniformity on the C5 is very good across varied brightness slides, with no obvious dirty screen effect or vignetting being visible during our testing process. Video processing from LG has seen some major improvements over the last few years, and this continues with what we saw here with the 42-inch C5. Upscaling of low-resolution content is consistent and clean, with no major artifacts or ringing seen to straight edges. Detail retrieval is also very good, and there's no sharpening issues or moire visible. Gradient performance is also very good, even at lower bit rates, with only some mild posterization seen in 8-bit SD content, but it looked much cleaner with 4K disc material. Gradients are smoothed nicely, with very little posterization noticeable with high quality sources. And when we move on to motion, the performance is also excellent here, with correct pull down applied to 24 frames per second content, ensuring a natural cinematic look. Its updated cinematic movement feature found in the True Motion settings. The mode subtly interpolates frames to reduce judder without creating any noticeable soap opera effect. Moving on to the design, and the chassis remains the same as the C4 from last year, with the only apparent difference being some new material used on the rear panel. Otherwise, the design remains the same and it remains consistent with earlier models. It's thin and light due to its composite materials, yet it maintains a really premium aesthetic. The stand feet are identical to the previous year's model, providing stable support for the 42-inch C5 on a TV stand, computer desk or tabletop, with cable management through the legs. The majority of the rear of the TV is a thick section that houses the electronic speakers and sideways facing connections. The C-Series remains the sweet spot in the LG range, and the 42-inch version offers several use cases over its larger screen siblings. It has less peak brightness due to the panel size and pixel density, as well as stand feet instead of the nicer looking pedestal stand that's available on the larger TVs. But in most other regards, the 42-inch shares the same features as the rest of the range. And those extra use cases include being small enough for rooms with restricted space, or as a second room TV set where image quality really is important. It can also be utilised as a gaming TV with the ability to sit on a gaming desk, giving its size advantage. Content creators will also be interested in using this small form factor in an editing environment thanks to its fantastic image quality and colour accuracy. The only issue with such an approach, including as a gaming TV, is that sometimes you will be sitting a little bit too close, and that can introduce issues with screen door effect and other issues with the pixel layout being visible, so make sure you leave enough viewing distance between you and the set. The 42-inch C5 also makes a fantastic small size display for movies and normal TV shows. The image quality is very good indeed, and it would be ideal for a small room environment. The biggest issue for the 42-inch C5 is the 42-inch C4, which can still be had at the time of this review in June 2025 for massive savings over a new price C5. And you just have to have a quick look online to see that the C4 at 42 inches can be had for under £600 at the moment. And it's just as good as this newer model, but you're getting that bargain price. Don't forget you can head over to AV Forums and get more in depth with this TV and our review, as well as the graphs and measurements. And if you enjoy our content and would like to support our efforts, then please do consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.